Hello, guys. You're welcome. Today we are going to discuss different headings, that is, title for your website. How do you build that with code? If you want to build a website, how do you actually say this is the title and subtitles in your web page? And that's what I'm going to walk you through how to do that, right? Okay, so here I'm going to start by just using Google search engine to search for something. Let's say that we want to search for let's say United Nations terms of use. I think I've searched that before. And then I come to this website and then I click it. And then this is what I have. I want you to take a look at this, the search hits. So this is what I got. And as you can see, there is something here bigger than all these other ones. And if we go down, you can see this other one. You can see this other one. You can see this other one, this one in this way, right? So, and then when we actually went to this place after making a selection, you can see that we came to this page and this is what we saw, right? So this is the heading for this document, for this web page. And you may want to build something like that. And then you can see these are subheadings or subtitles and title, right? So how do we do that? If you watch at the end here, at the beginning here on the tab, you can see terms of use, United Nations, right? So these are titles. And how do you build that? And that is what is going to take me to HTML headings. So we have HTML headings, and there are different levels of headings, and we have from H1 to H6 in HTML. These are tags that we can use to actually have headings. Okay, before I can continue, I taught you inspection, and I am going to inspect this. How do we inspect a web page? You come to whatever you want to inspect, you right click, and then you go to the bottom and you will see inspect. When you click the inspect, it can give you the code and how it was written. You can see that this terms of use is wrapped with an H1 element. This is H1, this is the start tag, and this is the end tag. Anyways, don't worry, we're going to say it, right? So I can make this bigger so that you understand and see it very well. You can see terms of use. You can see H1, then the closing. Then this is an attribute that we have. Like I used to say, if you don't understand attributes, if you don't understand elements and all these pieces in building a web page, please refer to my previous lessons. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to show you how to do this. How do you do this? And I think we've done something like that before. So now coming back to this, I can tell you that we have different levels. We have level 1 heading, level 2 heading, level 3 to level 6. We only have from level 1 to level 6 in HTML. And this is the biggest and this is the smallest. The smaller the number, the bigger the text, right? So if you want to title a document, a web page, use H1. And it is advisable that you have only one H1 in one document. And this is for search engine optimization, just like I've showed you. You can see that from here, this is what we saw when we searched on Google. We can go back and then you can see that terms of use. So in indexing of search engine, they make use of your H1 in your document. And that's why it's advisable that you have only one H1 in one web page. You don't use two H1s, but you can use as many H2s or H3 or H6 as you want. But for H1, it is advisable that you use one for search engine optimization of your web page. So now, let's go and see what we got. So I come to my start page and then I type VS Code. That's what we use in coding. Like I said, if you don't know how to do all this, please refer to the previous lessons. We are going step by step from scratch and we build up from there. Okay, so I open this and you can see, we can say open folder. We try to go to documents where we have in our tutorials, coding project, and this is what we want to open. So we select the project and open it. It has opened. Remember, this is what we've been working with. So, and as you can see, I have H1 here. and then I said HTML attribute. That was when I was teaching you HTML attributes, right? So here I can change this and say HTML headings, right? And when we run this to make it a web page, to see how it displays in a web page, we can right click and say go down and we say open with live server. And you see this opening here, right? This is the United Nations that we had, and then this is now our own web page that we're just coding. So I have taught all this, and then you can see the heading. Now let us inspect this just like we inspected the United Nations web page. I click here and I say inspect. You can see it's telling me that this guy used H1 to code it. And then it shows me that this guy has an ID attribute that its value is heading, and then HTML headings is what it has as the content of the H1, and then the H1 closed right here. Just like what we did the other side. It's the same thing. So it means that the title of this is what? HTML headings now is no longer attributes. Even though in this place we still have attributes, but you know that I just changed this just right now because this is what I want to teach you, right? And then somebody said, okay, why not you do something like this? Okay, it's cool, right? We can just make it like this, and then we have, you can see there is a rule. I don't know if you can see that there is a line here, and we can build something like that. Okay, let's try that. And then we go back to our code. So we go to the code editor. We open here, and then what do they have there? Let us just copy that exactly. So I come to the web page and they say terms of use. I click to copy this, Control C. I go back to my code, and then instead of having HTML heading, I do this and then paste it. Okay, this is what I want to have. Then I have heading. I remember we had a kind of styling for that, which I don't want again right now. So I remove that so that when I go back to my website, you can see that we have something like that, right? Terms of use, even though our own is more, the text is bigger, we can actually control that. Then the next thing they have is that they have a horizontal rule right here. So I want to have something like that. How do I achieve that? So I want to have a rule just under this place. I go back to my coding and to my code, and when I go there and I come just under my H1, if you want to have a horizontal rule, we have an empty element. Remember, I told you that an empty element is an element that doesn't have the content and the end tag. It just has the start tag. And we have HR. That is what we use for horizontal rule, just like this. No other thing. HR element. And like I told you, it's an empty element, which means it doesn't have the content and the start tag just like every other elements. And then we can go back and check what we have. And you can see I have a rule right here. As simple as that. I have this rule, right? And then I can continue with these terms and condition of this website. I select that. I just want to copy that and use it in my code. I go to my code, and then after H1 and the rule, I need H2 this time. You understand? That is a subtitle. Like I told you, in one file, HTML file like this, it's advisable that you have only one single H1 for search engine optimization. So I have my H2, right? So this is the start tag, and then I have the text. I have just pasted it, and then I close the H2, right? And then I go to my website, and then this is it. You can see that I have now terms and condition of use of United Nations website, right? As you can see, this is bigger than this. Why? Because this is heading level 1, and this is what? Heading level 2. If I change this from heading level 1 to heading level 4, it means that the text will become smaller as I am going down, right? Or up. I don't know what you call that, but like I said, the bigger the number, the smaller the text. Okay, so we go back to the code, and then I want to change this from H2 to H5, for example. So I have to change the end tag too. Remember, later on, I'm going to install something that helps you. When you change the start tag, automatically will change the end tag for you automatically so that you don't actually waste time. So we go back to our website, and as you can see, the terms and conditions of use of United Nations website has drastically reduced in size, right? So that's it. And that's what we use in these headings and titles and subtitles in that way, right? As you can see, they did this and then they came right here and then they did this other one, right? So I believe these are links, but we might want to have all these things in just one heading, right? For the sake of the scope of this lesson, we might not go that deep, but yeah. So now I'm going to take this back to Control Z, going back. Then I want to have the other one, and that one I want to use like H4 for that. This is the start tag, this is the end tag. I paste this, and then I can format this by right clicking and saying format document. Remember, we have done all these things. Yeah, I want to use Prettier for formatting this. Okay, so it has formatted it in this way, have this here, and then the text. And then we go back to the website, our own website, and you can see I have something like this, smaller than this. And then they have maybe this paragraph. And I want to have all this text in a paragraph. You can see there is a space here and there is a space before this disclaimer. How do I do that? Let me select this text and copy them. Control C, I go back to my code. I need a paragraph. What do I do? For you to have a paragraph in your website, you use the P element, P. And then you close off the P, the end tag. You come in between the start tag and end tag, and you paste your text, Control V. And then I have to right click to format my document so that it will look good, right? As you can see, it's no longer one line of text, just like that. Now it is styled here so that I can read it easily. Remember, I just reduced the zoom level of this so that you can see it very well. But if I make it like normal, you can see the way it has formatted it. But I'm going to increase it so that you should be able to see what I am doing correctly and learn from there. Okay, so I go back to the web page that we're building, which is this one, and you can see we have a paragraph here. Automatically, it has added a space here, and if I have another thing down here, you will see another space because this is a paragraph, right? So I go back right there, and then I need another paragraph, and then I do another P element, close it off, P, and then I have something right here. I can have the same thing. Paste it again, right click and say format document, and then we come back, and then we have now two paragraphs. So we go back to the website to see what we've done, and you can see we have this paragraph and this other paragraph, right? You can see it. So automatically it adds space because it knows this is a paragraph because you use the P tag, the P element. So in this lesson, I have taught you headings, and I told you that we have different headings from heading level 1 to level 6. We don't have heading level 7 or anything more than that, level 6. That's what we have in HTML, and you can see how you can use that to format your document and make it look good for your users to view your website, right? So now there are some situations where I also taught you the horizontal rule. There are some situations where in my code, for example, let me go to my code and show you something. So in my code, I want, even though a paragraph, I need a paragraph, sorry, P, this is the start tag, and then I want the end tag to be here. And in between the start tag and end tag, maybe I might want something like 1, and then I want just under this, and then I have 2, and under this, and I have 3. Maybe you're writing a poem and you want it like this. Now, the thing is that in HTML, when you have something inside tag like this, and you have the enter key or you have the space bar like more than one and all these white spaces, automatically HTML will collapse all of them and make it a single line, and you wouldn't know that you did this. Now, let us go and see how this was rendered in the browser. 1, 2, 3. And then we go back to our browser where we're running this code, and we go down. You can see we just have 1, 2, 3 in a single line separated by just single spaces. This is how it is done. But if I want HTML to preserve my white spaces in my code so that it will just appear exactly the way I have it in my code in the website. What do I do? Okay, so I am going back here, and then when I go here, there is something that we call the preserve element, pre-tag, P-R-E, and that's it means preserve the formatting in my code. So I just have PRE here, and then just at the end of this place, I close the PRE element, right? So it becomes a child of the paragraph P element. So that a child element is an element that is right inside another element as a content. Okay, so we go back to code, and then you can see it has preserved that. We have one, we have two, we have three, just the way we have it in the code. It has been preserved. So you can do this. Alternatively, there is something I can do in my code, and that will introduce us to the BR element. That is break, line break. So if you have worked with Microsoft Word a lot, you know we have something that is called line break, which means in a single line, your text has not reached the end of the page, but you want to start in another line. Okay, so now let's have another one here. I duplicate this, Control Shift down arrow key. I don't know what works for you, but oh, sorry, Control Z. Did I do? Anyways, let me just copy and paste. It didn't work here. I think it is. I was using Ubuntu, that is Linux, and this is Windows, and they don't have the same shortcut. Okay, so I paste this and remove this pre. I don't even know what happened. I removed the pre here. Oh boy. Don't mind me. Okay, so we had pre here, yes, and that's why it was preserved. And if we look at this code, this one will not be preserved, but this will be preserved because we actually enclosed this with the PRE tag, the start and end tag. So now we go back to the code, and then you can see that the number one was preserved, but number two is not preserved. So now I want to introduce you to the BR element, which actually breaks to the next line, even though we've not gotten to the end of the code. So I can just come just after each word here, I introduce the BR element, which is an empty element. It doesn't have the start and end tag. It only has the end tag, no content, BR. So what will happen is that when we go to this code, you see that after this, even though the line is not yet to the end, we have it broken to the next line break, and then this one also we break to this line, and then this one. Anyways, we don't need this one because we don't need to break this other one. We don't have any other text after that. So we go to the website, and you can see what? Let's see what is happening. What is that? Sorry. I'm very, very sorry. I'm doing this here instead of here. Control V, remove this one. That's not where we need it. Control X, and then here, Control V. We just wanted to show that in this second one, we can achieve something like this, though not exactly with the BR element, which means break my line to the next, even though it has not gotten to the end of the line. Okay, let's go and check again. I pray this will work now. Yes, it works. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, there is other formatting to this pre that are not here, even if when you look at the text, they are not the same font. And that's because this is free and this is just line break. I think that's just the things that I want to show you in today's lesson, how you can actually have a paragraph in your website, how you can have a title and all of this. So if we want this thing to be HTML headings instead of HTML attributes, it means that in the title element, in my head element, I have to change it to the same thing that I'm treating here. And how do I do that? I go back to my code. I believe we had a title in the head element. We're going back. Yeah, so we have title. Instead of saying HTML attribute lessons, we're saying HTML headings. That's all. And then I believe that when we go to that, we are having HTML headings instead of HTML attributes. Yeah, thank you for listening. In the next lesson, I'm going to teach CSS, how you can actually introduce CSS to your code, how you can style, color your website, and make things position the way you want and make it beautiful. I see you on that one. Please, if you love what I do, even if you're not going to comment, please like. That will do a whole lot of things. It will help me a lot. And then push this to someone that might need it and wants to learn coding and see how we can build a website. If you're watching me from YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. In my YouTube, I see a number that are watching my videos, but the subscription is low, which means that all of you guys that are watching my videos on YouTube, you're not actually subscribing. Please subscribe. It's going to help me and push this content. Thank you very much and see you on the next one. Bye.